Hello, and welcome to the Five Things Podcast, the podcast where we talk about five things. This week's five things is going to be the top five best couch co-op games and best. I don't know. It's hard to do best. There's definitely more than five of these to come up with. So it's really like five of the first couch co-op games we want to like actually talk about.
Yeah, I struggled to pick five, not because, as Danny mentioned, finding five was hard. It was I realized that I could probably pick five per year per system going back to like 92, and I wasn't even alive in 92, 3, and 4, and most of 5. So,
yeah, I had to convince myself to like leave off like arcade games. Like I was like, I got to sit on a couch. I think if we're gonna do this, it needs to be like specific to like did me and my friends sit on couches in my basement. Yeah. Like till far too late, chugging like Mountain Dew as a kid or whatever, or now a beer as we do
as an adult,
yeah,
Voltage Mountain Dew specifically for my friends and I. Yeah. That was our preferred.
Oh, thanks for the follow, Manny Fett.
Yeah, it's my little brother.
Oh, nice.
I gotta stop doxing people live on stream.
I mean, I guess yeah, because you're at this point relatively doxed on multiple occasions.
Oh yeah, no, people just know where I live at this point, so that's fine. Send me fan mail or hate mail, just not anthrax.
It's just not the police. Please don't SWAT
unless
either
it's
of
the
us.
Band.
Yeah, if Sting shows up, it's okay. But it better be Sting. Like, if it's like, oh, the police are going to be there, but like Sting doesn't come because he's like too big now, just don't bother. It's not worth it.
All right.
How do we want? Yeah.
You want to go with oldest game on here?
I was going to go with most possible players. Do you have anything that goes anything over 4 for you?
I do. I do, and you probably know which game. So
it probably goes to at least 8.
It does. It does indeed go to at least 8.
I almost put the X-Men arcade game on mine, which would have given me 6. But I still would have lost, I think.
Yeah. All right, then. So I'll go first, which is topical. Because, use that voice for me, please.
Oh, man. You know what we didn't do?
You didn't set the voice up?
Was see if we know the voice is going to work or not. So we're going to see what happens.
We're doing
Number 5.
It's not deep like normal, but it does have a good echo, so we'll take it. Number 5 for me is just a blanket Nintendo games. Because I didn't want to pick just one. And also, a lot of them you play kind of with each other, but also kind of against each other. So it didn't feel fair to pick just one of them, I guess. We've got Mario Party. These are all Switch games for now. We've got Mario Party. The first Mario Party I played was the one for the 64. My favorite one is probably 7 for the GameCube, though. This is the one I played the most. Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is also super fun. I've played Super Mario 3D World. I haven't actually played Bowser's Fury because it just came out a couple days ago. Mario Kart's a classic because you can play co-op mode in the arcade mode of it, where you play like the tag team and stuff like that. But you can also, in my favorite version, which is Double Dash, you just play straight up co-op where one of you drives and the other one sits on the back. My uncle and I played the game that way for hours and hours and beat the entire game on the GameCube that I still own, with me just throwing items and him racing because I was like 7 and was no good at video games. But he put up with it and was good enough at the end that we still managed to beat it that way. And then the 8-player game we mentioned, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I'm sorry I cut you off, Danny.
Oh, no, go ahead. I thought I had assumed Smash Brothers was technically going to be its own entry. I didn't realize you had a 4th game to go through.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah, no, that's by design. The Double Dash was they were trying to find a way for like basically how do we get the kid brother into this game, and they were like, let's just make throwing an item its own character.
Well, hey, it worked. And I loved it. I ate it up. I love the game. Double Dash is still my favorite version of Mario Kart. Although the newest one, 8 Deluxe, has like all of the best tracks from Double Dash and the ability to hold 2 items, which I actually have mixed feelings on nowadays because it just makes the game so much more terrible to play because of all the different items and stuff. But it's enjoyable. I had fun, and I'm not going to talk about Smash Brothers because I've already talked about it in a different episode of this podcast. Please go back and watch it if you want to hear me rant about Smash Brothers in
Yeah.
the I believe that's in the 5 fandoms we despise but are proudly a part of.
They need to bring the chain chomp power up from Double Dash back. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Bullet Bill is essentially the same power up, is it not? Like,
Yeah, that is the one thing I wish they would bring back from Double Dash. I really liked the characters having their own individual power ups. I thought that was super cool.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an engineering nightmare, and we'll never have something like that again.
That's probably true.
Yeah, no, this is. I thought for sure Super Smash Bros. Was going to be a different entry.
No, like I said, I didn't want to have an entry for a game I've already talked about in depth. So
yeah, I mean that is
simple.
The weird feedback loop of doing like a podcast and the amount of time we have to spend on all of the things we do on this like channel while we're streaming and YouTube and everything else. Is don't have time to do anything new now. So it's like, yeah, what was the last video game you played? Well, it's been 4 years. And it was Time Splitters 2.
What's yeah, what are you into recently? Well, I've read 5 Warhammer books. You want to hear about the Horus Heresy? Let's just do it on the Horus Heresy.
Let's talk about LED lights and why cool lighting is better than warm lighting for webcams. That's a solid start.
Yeah, what's your number 5, my guy?
My number 5 is, and this is actually, I don't think I've ever spoken of this.
Oh.
But it's Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare 2 specifically. I went to college and I was in a fraternity, therefore I have 1,000 hours in whatever Modern Warfare game was out. This was the one that was out when I was in college, and therefore it's the one that I have my 1,000 hours in. Yeah, I played the hell out of this game. We had a guy who just like had a PlayStation, I think it was a PlayStation, it might have been an Xbox. I think he had an Xbox One, and he would just leave it on. And like he would like go to class and you would just go in his room and like it was just constantly rotating. Like we unlocked everything in this game in like a week. Because technically his one account just never stopped playing Call of Duty. And then Zombies, which I don't think was in Modern Warfare 2. I think that was the other one
not.
that has zombies in it.
Yeah, it was World War and Black Ops.
Yeah, Black Ops.
And Black Ops had Infinitum.
Yeah, Black Ops was the one that we played a ton of zombies in. Zombies didn't make it, mostly because I find zombies to be infuriating to play with people. Like, if both of you don't know what you're doing, zombies is really fun. If both of you do know what you're doing, zombies is really fun. If, like, that is it, yeah. There's nothing worse than being like, please go to, like, the mystery box and buy a weapon, and then being like, I don't know what that is. I'm going to get murdered by zombies. And there's nothing worse than having no idea what you're doing, and the guy who watched 100 hours of YouTube videos screaming stuff that makes no sense to you. And they're just like, no, we got to start the projector. And it's like, oh, okay. Why? Yep. I thought we were shooting zombies.
We will see a repop of this one out here, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Because I was also in college, although I didn't actually play Call of Duty in college hardly at all. I played it in high school, in middle school. When I was in middle school, there was one guy in my friend group who has since lived a full and prosperous life. But he had an Xbox 360, and he was like the only friend of mine that had an Xbox 360, but he didn't have online. So we would go to his house. We'd walk like probably a mile down the road to get to his house from where I lived and go into his neighborhood. And we would all just hang out there like 4 or 5 guys every weekend and most days after school and play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, specifically on the Afghan map was like our favorite. And we would just play that for hours, split screen 2-player against each other, and then we would play the co-op like missions. I don't even know how many hours because we all had our own profiles, and a couple of the kids in the like group of friends actually managed to I can't remember what it's called, Prestige, on the offline multiplayer because that's how much we played that game.
Oh wow!
Locally, just at his house. Yeah, his dad was a steel worker, and so he worked nights a lot, and so there was just nobody home on the main big screen TV downstairs, and so he would just play till his dad got home, like midnight or 1, and his dad would be like, "You guys have to go to sleep. What are you doing awake?"
No, that's fair. Cool. That's fair. Yeah. Like this game really sort of brought in a lot of like I think modern online co-op, like not co-op, but like online stuff. Like, let's just turn the entire online experience into just a bunch of loot boxes. Like, you have to unlock all of the weapons and abilities and stuff. And then if you max out, you can have a fancier little badge if you reset all of it.
Yeah. I didn't mind that nearly as
everywhere.
much, though, because the loot, you couldn't buy your upgrades, and there were no loot boxes. You got everything at a steady progression. So
yeah, it just really gamified everything, which I mean, I'm not against it, but like it definitely a lot of Modern Warfare 2 did get adopted into every other game.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 5.
It's a good pick.
Number 4.
I think your voice is pitched up now.
It's pitched up,
which made it sound very funny. It was like a clown was saying it a little bit.
Number 4?
Ooh, that's good. That's good. But you did sound quizzical. My number 4 is four games, and I did that on purpose. Definitely.
My number 4 is this entire list.
Yeah, is this. So originally it was just Turtles in Time, and then I was like, well, I can't really put Turtles in Time without putting Golden Axe, and then I had Goof Troop as a separate one. But then I felt like Goof Troop I didn't actually play as much, and then I really wanted Twisted Metal on here somewhere. So I just grouped these all together. These are all games I played as a kid, like learning to play video games, and I just have great stories for all of them. Turtles in Time, my uncle and I loved and played so much, and then someone stole the Super Nintendo copy we had of it.
Oh man!
So yeah, so we originally we ended up renting a PS2 game that was a Ninja Turtles game, and if you beat that PS2 game on the hardest difficulty, you unlocked Turtles in Time as an emulated game on that copy of the PS2 game. And so we like rented that and then ended up buying it just so we could play Turtles in Time. We only played through the actual game like one time because it sucked. Like that's how much we loved Turtles in Time. You couldn't find a Super Nintendo copy of it. Still can't. They're expensive. Golden Axe 2 is what killed my Sega Genesis. I used to play Road Rash on that thing for hours when I was a kid. And my parents would always make me play with my sister, and we'd play Golden Axe. My sister was terrible at video games, and she got mad because she kept dying, and she jerked her controller, and it pulled the Genesis off of this like big dresser, and just it hit the ground. It never worked again. And that was the end of us having a console of any sort for almost 6 years, I think. Because then my parents were all like, we're not going to have video games in the house for a while.
That's intense.
Goof Troop was another Super Nintendo game that I played with my uncle just a ton. It's like a puzzle game where you play as Goofy and his son Max. You have like these hook shots basically that you pull stuff around the map. You get attacked by pirates. It makes no sense. Like the storyline is ridiculous. But it's super fun. If you haven't played it, highly recommend it. It's great, especially if you have like younger people you're playing video games with. It still holds up. I've played it recently on an emulator because I like it that much. And Twisted Metal 4, or just the whole Twisted Metal series. But 4 I got as a Christmas, and I think it was a birthday gift actually, for my grandparents when it first came out. I was very young. And the only thing I remember is sitting in their bedroom, because that's where the PS1 was hooked up. And their bedroom just reeked of smoke because they were both like chain smokers. And I remember sitting on their waterbed playing Twisted Metal 4. It's like the earliest memory I have being the most excited I have ever life.
Like that's like if you asked like an AI to make the most 90s sentence I think I've ever heard. Is smoke-filled master bedroom on a waterbed playing Twisted Metal 4 as a child. Like, yeah. I wasn't even there, but I felt that.
Twisted Metal 4 is widely regarded as like the worst Twisted Metal game of the PS1 generation.
I wasn't going to out you. I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, it's my favorite because it's just the one I played the most as a kid. It's still a solid game.
Is it?
Like it's not as good. The physics aren't as good because it was made by you know why that is, right? Because there was a developer dispute. The original development team for Twisted Metal quit. And when they quit, they took the physics engine they built for Twisted Metal with them. And so the team had to remake the physics engine so it played completely different. If you go back and you play Twisted Metal 4, having not played 1, 2, or 3 very much, Twisted Metal 4 is a fine Twisted Metal game. It just does not play like the first 3, so people hated it. Yeah. And it messed up the storyline, which people also hated. Oh. But it's a super fun game, and the cars in it are really fun. You can make your own car.
Anybody who's complaining about Twisted Metal lore can get right the fuck out, I think.
Yeah. Remember we were talking about that whole 90s thing?
Twisted Metal lore, yeah.
Yeah, that's my number 4. It's just a bunch of games I loved playing as a little kid.
Yeah. Dude, Twisted Metal 4. So, like, I had a friend who had all the Twisted Metals, and, like, yeah, 4 was definitely the worst, but also we played the hell out of all the other ones. And then you get to 4. Isn't one of the cars in Twisted Metal 4, like, aren't you, like, a rave kid? Like...
Yeah, you're a rave kid in, like, a green, like a Civic.
It's, like, the weirdest.
There's one where you're just Warthog's in a lot of them, but the Warthog in Twisted Metal 4 is a World War I tank general who's just like is 104 years old and looks terrible in all of the art, like ridiculously terrible. But he has a you can play as Calypso, which is normally the main bad guy, and he just drives a fire truck, but instead of a ladder, it shoots a nuclear missile, which is the coolest thing ever, and also impossible to hit anybody with.
Yeah, that checks it out. No, Twisted Metal 2 for life. Axel's my dude.
Axel's awesome.
Axel's the dumbest character, but as like from a child's perspective, you're just like, holy crap, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. No, I liked him. I liked Grim because he was on the motorcycle a lot. Well, not in this game though, but he was on the motorcycle in Black and a couple other ones. This is my like the Twisted Metal series is like my quit my job and make an indie game pipe dream. Like I am only getting better at developing software away from just making a fan version of Twisted Metal a la like not Harvest Moon. What's the Harvest Moon clone?
Wait, hold on. If you make a Twisted Metal Harvest Moon, I'm down. I also quit my job, it turns out, to be a part of this development team. Are you thinking of Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley, yeah. It's like that's my like quit my job to make which I don't think I quit his job, but like quit my job to make a game that I just like hate that they don't make them good anymore. Like that's Twisted Metal for me.
Just need better car fighting games.
Yeah, we do.
Destruction All-Stars is relatively new. That just came out.
Yeah, it's not
as good.
Same. No.
Well,
I need like so all the cars just look like modern like muscle and supercars. I like the ridiculous like mid 50s, early 60s like crazy street car Rob Zombie madness with blowers sticking out of the hood and stuff like that. Like I love that whole aesthetic.
Yeah, I want to drive an ice cream truck and murder somebody.
Exactly. I mean, you've seen I drove a car from Twisted Metal kind of for a while. My little brother who's in the clown blowing things up in an ice cream truck this trip. Stardew Valley, he knows.
Yep.
But like as my little brother who's watching today is well aware of, like our father builds like these really cool and crazy hot rods, and that's like the kind of cars in Twisted Metal, and I just love that whole like deal. I drove a truck like that was lifted in the back. Well, it wasn't actually lifted, but it like was raised up in the back and it sat low in the front and had the hood scoop, and people would like drive multiple lanes to get away from me on the highway. I felt like I was in a Twisted Metal car. Like it was awesome.
I don't know if we'll be able to find a copy, and I'd have to find an Xbox as well to play it. But there's a game called Dead Cells.
They released it for Switch actually. Because you brought this up. Yeah, you brought this up last time, and I looked it up, and they re-released it for Switch.
What? Okay, we're definitely playing that.
It wasn't Dead Cells. Dead Cells is a roguelike. You're thinking of something else Cells though, because it's like a cell-shaded Twisted Metal type game.
Yeah, hold on. We're gonna have to. Yeah, no, Dead Cell is a what am I thinking of? Oh, Cell Damage.
Yeah.
Cell Damage. Is not on my list because I just never played it that much, but like my uncle owns it, and like that's what gets busted out when you're hanging out there for like holidays and stuff. And it's not a great game. There's a lot of limitations to the Xbox to making that game work, but it's still super like wacky.
Yeah. No, it looks fun. I'll have to play it for sure. But yeah, Nintendo Switch port was released via the Nintendo eShop on the 29th of March, 2019.
Oh boy! All right, I look into that. That might be on stream as soon as next week, if I'm being entirely honest.
Sweet.
All right.
Well,
my number
What's
four.
Your number 4?
My number 4. A game we've talked about for sure, but a game that I very much enjoy, and I've played the co-op for probably almost every year since I started playing this game, and that is Portal 2. Portal 2 is a dope game. Everybody already knows that. But It's just the co-op on it is super fun. And if you're in a relationship and you're not 100% certain if things are going to work out, just do this. And if you can make it to the end, you guys are going to be just fine.
Curious.
That was sort of like a joke for like a long time while I was telling my friends was the I'm taking on the ultimate relationship test and trying to play the Portal 2 co-op campaign with my significant other. And just being like, hey man, good luck, because that might ruin everything if it doesn't go well. But I don't know. It's super fun. It works way better than you think it would. Like, honestly, when they were like, we're going to do a cooperative like set of missions for Portal 2, that just sounds like a bad idea, right? Like, you're just like, man, that's not how this game really works. But it does. And it's good. And they did it in a way that you can, like, I don't know, have you ever played the, like, Portal 2 co-op missions?
I have a little bit, like 10, 20 minutes tops. I don't particularly care for puzzle games of like any sort.
I suppose that's true.
Because I'm a big dumb boy. But I need to play it. I've been told by several friends, and I'm gonna break down and play it eventually. And now that I've realized I can make my girlfriend go through it with me, that just adds to it. So
Yeah, good luck with that one. It's a bold undertaking. But they added a bunch of stuff where, like, if you don't have like a way to talk to the person, you can still communicate really well. Like, it's like got an emote system and like a pointer system. You can kill your partner if you get mad at them. You can just like take their portal away and like drop them into like a massive pit, which is fun. But yeah, I love this game. I love the co-op on it. It's still fun, even if you've already beaten it before. I'm sure if you play it all the time, it probably gets boring because you have everything like memorized. But then you just speed run it, right? Like you can just go faster, and like that is also fun. Yeah, it's my number 4, World 2.
hit me with the voice.
Number 3.
Yes.
Yeah,
My number 3 is a bunch of arcade sports games. Because again, I couldn't just pick one. My favorite of all time, probably the one I played the most, is NFL Blitz 2003, because it was for the GameCube, and that was the time I spent playing the most co-op games. But you can play cooperatively. You can also play against each other, which is super fun. You can create your own team and then have them go through a season, and then you can play that team as they like get better stats through playing the seasons against each other, which is also super fun. But you get to create your own character, but it's not like creating a character in a modern football game, or like even Blitz the League 2, which I have a picture of down here, where you create like a 6'4" dude who plays tight end, and his name is like Brick Stanley. The homemade characters in NFL Blitz 2003 are like a cheesehead, which is just like a dude who's like 7 foot tall with a beer belly that's about as tall as he is, like as wide as he is tall, with like a big cheese thing on his head. There's a robot. I think you can be like a dinosaur. There's just all kinds of wacky stuff you can make your personal character be. And I think I always picked the robot. The robot looked like Optimus Prime, kind of. It was just thick. Oh, there was a big corn dog you could be. That was fun. It was a hot dog. Yeah, it was a hot dog. And the game is just super fun if you've never played it. It's also an arcade game, but I had the GameCube version. It's fantastic. 10 out of 10. NBA Jam is in the same like family of games. Both are made by Midway, I believe. And then Blitz the League 2 is a super fun game. I played a ton of co-op with friends growing up. I also played a lot of Madden and NHL and all the other stuff, but I never really liked those games. I was never into sports. But there's something about sports arcade games that I just cannot get enough of. Blitz League 2 is super cool. Blitz League is super cool. It's like it's M-rated and it's mature, and then like you can like take drugs and stuff to like boost your stats and stuff, and all that's fine. The fun part about Blitz the League is there was a system where like your characters had HP, basically. I think we called it stamina. And as it got lower, when you would hit somebody with a dirty hit, which took like turbo to do,
right,
you had a better chance of hurting them. And so in Blitz the League, it was pretty cool because you'd like see their bones snap and whatever. And Blitz the League 2, they added a muscular system layer where you could like see tendons snapping and bones breaking and testicles exploding if you hit low and aimed to the bottom and were able to fill the gauge up when you hit people. It was disgusting. The first time we did that in a game, I remember like very vividly I think it was my friend got hit, and like the CPU like aims low because you get to like pick where you're aiming, aims low, fills the gauge, and you just see like two little things jiggling, and then one of them, and then the guy like pulls back and like grabs his like groin, and it says like ruptured testicle, and we paused the game and just were like yelling at each other because it was so gross. And then we played it again for like 10 more hours. Super fun. And then the Bigs 2 is probably my favorite sports game of all time. I have genuinely thought about buying a PS3 again just to play that game. It's amazing. It has so much of it. So it's cooperative. It's also, you play each other. It's got a single player mode where you start off as your character getting busted back down to like the minor leagues. You start for this for a team in the Mexico's professional baseball league, which I can't remember the name of that. And you play like in this like really cool like Mexican baseball park, and it's just like a totally different like realm from where you play like when you get into the US later on. And then you work your way up to like, like massive stadiums and stuff, and you can play any place you want to. The storyline's actually pretty good. You get to pick which team you want to go to. I always went to the White Sox. And then just playing the game itself is super fun because you've got all these like power ups, and you can jump like mile high and grab the balls when they're going for a home run. It's just super fun. Mario Baseball belongs in here too, to be honest. But yeah, my number 3
Yeah.
is just like all sports games.
Welcome to the 30 Things podcast, where we count to 5, but actually we include 15 other entries in each.
I'm trying to hit all of them very quickly, so it feels like when I would go in depth on just one thing.
No, I agree. The arcade sports are pretty dope. I never got to play a lot of these games with my friends because I was better at video games than like a lot of my friends. At least when I was younger. When I got like older, I got beat a lot. But like, yeah, NFL Blitz was huge. If I could find a decent NFL Blitz arcade machine, I would 100% buy one. Never played a lot of NBA Jam. A lot of you ever play like NBA Street?
Yes, played a lot of NBA Street.
Yeah, man, like that was my jam for sure. Dude, I had the Midway arcade pack on PlayStation 2. You could play Arch Rivals.
That sounds awesome.
Have you ever played Arch Rivals? But like, it's like pre NBA Jam like basketball. You like literally fight people. Like it's not even like, oh, you're gonna steal and like maybe they fall over. No, like you have like a punch button. And if you both punch each other at the same time, it like turns like a cartoon, like scrap, like a dust up. And you have to like mash the button, and like one of you will come out with the ball, and the other guy like will be like unconscious on the floor, and then you just go play.
It's like the Nhl Hits game from the same generation as Blitz 2003. It was the hockey game, and you could just turn fights all the way up so that anytime you use like the hard hit button, you would just start a fight with the opposite team. And when my friends and I would play it, we would just try to beat the other team into submission till there were no other players left, and that was how you won. Like,
oh yeah, I had Mario Lemieux hockey on the Sega Genesis, and it had a solid fight engine for like a hockey game from like '93 or something.
Yeah, man. The NHL Hits game had like a whole boxing mini game you played against each other.
Yeah, so this one you would like, yeah. But no, I love arcade sports games. I feel like we have to convince people to bring them back. Like, I guess Rocket League kind of counts, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. There's been a lot of attempts at like trying to recapture that NBA Jam magic, and I just don't know if you can because the NBA Jam is so like perfected.
Yeah,
that you could at best clone it, and anything that like,
that is actually super good. That was for the PS3 or 4. I can't remember. Like that generation, right in between those two generations. It's actually so good. Still. But it is. It's just a clone with newer players.
Yeah, it's just NBA Jam. You can't make it better.
Yeah, like I know, like the reason the NFL Blitz series struggled is because like Blitz the League was a super good game, but it lost all of the people who just buy sports games. And if you lose the people buying sports games, you're not going to be able to put out an arcade sports game because you're just not going to get enough people that are just to play arcade sports games because they lost the rights to the NFL teams.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Sucks.
That was a big thing.
Yeah, because EA bought the licensing to all of the different sports games, and EA is like the worst company in the world at all things.
Yeah,
they make terrible games. They don't innovate on anything. They're not fun. They just bought the rights to a bunch of stuff that's a license to print money.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like other people were innovating and doing cool stuff. Like the Dreamcast sports games were just so much better than the PlayStation versions.
Yeah, and they like crushed the 2K series as well because it was so hard to get the rights to anything. Oh well, but yeah, I agree. I love these games, and I actually may or may not have an arcade sports game coming up. Not right now, but later. Right now, my number 3, your number 15 or so, is NBA Live. I think 03. Trying to remember what was on the cover of my PlayStation 2 copy is hard, and I don't necessarily remember what year I actually got this game, but I love this game. I played this game so much with my friends because, one, you get to play together. As mentioned, my friends aren't great at video games, so being able to do them together is nice. And you could just build your own team. Like, you could just make 10 custom players, and then that was just your team. And, like, we all played on the same basketball team in school together, and you could set, like, the lowest height was, like, 5'4" or something. Like, you could be really short. So, like, we made literally our, like, crappy, like, grade school basketball team a team. And they were all our height. Like, it was just, like, a bunch of, like, little short dudes, like, with our names, and, like, the stats just maxed out. Like, we didn't even pretend to be like, well, you play center, so you're gonna be good at rebounds. It's like, no, everybody just gets 100% everything. Like what a magical time before, like, somebody, I blame Modern Warfare for this, actually, when they were just like, if you want to make your own guy, just make your own guy. We're not gonna make you, like, grind out, like, an entire, like, 15-hour campaign of, like, going up through the league and getting drafted and stuff. You can just make a badass, and if that's fun for you, that's fun for you. Like, we don't care. And you would just crank out just, like, crazy all-star teams and just, like, 360 dunk on somebody who's, like, 3 feet taller than you are. But we played this game so much. Like, just an absolute absurd amount of NBA Live when it was out. For a bunch of people who, like, didn't really dig on sports games, this game, I think, just because of the absurdity. And then if you get, like, a little too upset, you could, like, stop and go to, like, one-on-one mode, and you had to be like, all right, we have to pick, like, actual basketball players. We can't just, like, cheat and just bomb threes from, like, half court. It's a solid game. It was also, I believe this was another situation where they, like, lost the rights and they couldn't make the game anymore. But then, like, NBA 2K came out, and the NBA 2K games are really, really, really good. So, like, what are you going to do? These are, like, way more arcadey than those were.
2K series as a whole, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's hard to compete. Like, it really is one of those, like, I had some loyalty and I really wanted to, like, stick to Live, and then, like, my buddy was like, no, you need to play 2K, and I was like, shit, this is really good. Fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think NBA Live hits the right, like, I think the only way you improve upon a game like NBA Jam is to do what NBA Live did and make it, like, mostly real, but, like, you're allowed to kind of, like, fuck around a bit.
You're allowed to elbow dudes in the gut and go for the dunk.
Yeah, like, you can play aggressive. I think you can turn fouls off. Like, you can, like, literally turn off rules. And you can, like, run out of bounds with the ball. And just, like, do, like, Harlem Globetrotter shit where you're just, like... You, like, run into the stands and, like, bomb it from, like, 50 feet away. But super fun. Love this game. All right.
Hit me with the voice.
Number 2.
That's real nice. It's real smooth. My number 2 is Call of Duty Black Ops. I picked number 2 because of the amount of time I spent playing it. I already talked about Modern Warfare. I definitely spent more time playing the original Call of Duty Black Ops because I bought a PS3, and I bought this the day it came out. Like, I pre-ordered it, I saved up money, and bought this the day it came out. And my friends and I did nothing but play this. This was one of the few games I still had when I gave my PS3 away. And we would play zombies on it for days, and I played the multiplayer just for days online and with friends. You were talking about how it's like when one guy's seen the YouTube videos, like, my friends and I would pool together to buy the DLC because none of us had any money. And so we could play the newest zombies map. And I remember all of us, like, obsessively watching YouTube videos at school to try and figure out what the next piece of the puzzle was to, like, unlock the secret part of the newest zombies map for the first time, because there was 5 was the level you unlocked for beating the game in zombies mode. And there was like, if you broke down the door in a certain way and then rebuilt it, you could jump up on like a certain piece of wood, and then you would just be invincible. Zombies couldn't get you, so you could just beat the game as much as you wanted to. So we did like all the tricks. I knew how to find all the meteorites and the Keynote Toten level. It was just nuts, like just so much fun. You're talking about like turning on the projector and the power line. We did all that stuff. I also never realized how ridiculous the artwork is for the cover of this game. Like, why does this guy have 2 rifles on his back and 2 pistols?
Because he has the akimbo perk, and he's here to win.
You can't akimbo rifles in that game.
Can you not? I don't know.
No, you can't. You cannot. You can akimbo pistols, and you can have 2 primary, but you can't hold 3 weapons in Black Ops. That's not true. You could in zombies through a glitch. So maybe he's playing that. Maybe that's what's going on in this picture, I guess. But yeah, I feel like we covered this subject well enough, though, I think, in your section. So we'll move on to your number 2.
I understood about half what you said about zombies. As somebody who played a bunch of zombies, like, I feel like I kind of fell off when it came to like getting real serious about that stuff. But it's a good time. So my number 2. I had actually forgotten that EA Sports Big was a thing, and I have just seen my picture, and I am very upset that it doesn't exist anymore. But it's Ssx Tricky. I played an absurd amount of Ssx Tricky, and I made my friends play even more Ssx Tricky, which is tremendously unfair to like anybody. Like, this is 100% the game where the person who owns the game always wins. Because like once
it's a good game.
It's so good. But like once you have like the tracks memorized and you know where all of like the best places to do the best tricks and like where to grind to get your special back up to do more special tricks, it's just really hard to compete with that. Like there's just no way to make up for somebody who just like has the perfect line on every single course. But holy shit, is this game amazing. Like Ssx Tricky is so good. And I had completely forgotten that EA Sports had like developed a like arcade sports game like department that I think fell apart. I think they did Ssx Tricky 2. And then they did another Ssx game that wasn't tricky. It was like slightly more, it was less arcadey. I think it's like Downhill or something like that.
Yeah, that game sucked.
Yeah, it was bad. And like that was like the end of it. Like I think that got like finished because they were like, this department's not going to exist anymore. Like finish your games and be done.
Yeah, because Ssx Tricky was amazing, and then Ssx Downhill was just awful. I had it for the Wii, and I remember like my grandparents rented it for the Wii for me, and we returned it because it was so bad.
Oh wow!
Like Blockbuster let us bring it back and pick a different game because I played it for an hour and was like, this game sucks. I'm gonna play something else. And my grandparents were like, we rent a lot of movies in Blockbuster. They'll probably let's just trade it for a different one, and they did, which was cool. Huh. Blockbuster, the real.
Shout out to Blockbuster, the real OG of Friday night.
Yeah, the real OG of Friday night. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. Like, what's crazy about this game is that like the people on the cover, like besides Eddie, the guy with the afro, nobody cares. Like, it's all about Eddie. It was all about Simon because he was the last guy you unlocked, and he was like a crazy person. Like, which I'm sure would probably get like EA in trouble now, but like at the time, as like a kid who didn't know any better, it was pretty cool. Like. It was the best. I need to get my PlayStation 2. I don't even know if I can stream it because I don't have like an HDMI for it. I have to like.
I'm buying an HDMI to. I'm buying a analog to HDMI converter. So.
Yeah, I had the fancy analog cables that had like 15 like plugs on it. That's supposed to.
Yeah, that's a composite cable.
Yeah, I had a composite cable. That like somebody like paid extra for me, and I was like, I'm not gonna know the difference, but thank you, I guess. Yeah, that's my it's my number 2. Probably my most played PlayStation 2 game behind Tony Hawk Underground.
Is that your number 1?
No, that's not that's not a couch co-op game. I played every Tony Hawk game that up to Tony Hawk Underground, like with my friends. But like honestly, Tony Hawk 2 is probably the most played, and that did not make the list for reasons of like people stopped playing it with me.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was wondering why, because Ssx Tricky, one of the reasons I didn't pick it is because it's not co-op. You can't play it together, if I recall correctly. It's the reason I didn't put Tony
you
Hawk
can.
on there.
Ssx Tricky, you can play co-op. You can race each other.
Can you? Where
Yeah.
you're not? Yeah, but that's against each other. That's not cooperative, is it?
Oh, I sure.
That's why. Yeah.
Neither. Okay, well, whatever. Neither is 80% of your list. So
all of my lists you can play together. I specifically picked games you could play together.
I guess because you mentioned Double Dash, I guess because you can drive the same car. But I was like, Mario Party is not cooperative. Mario Kart's, I guess, besides Double Dash, isn't cooperative.
Mario Party has team games, and Mario Party 7 had a team mode, as does 8.
I guess.
That's why. That's also why I joined them all together, because I felt like because they weren't specifically co-op games, they just had co-op modes.
Yeah.
That's why they're all together at the top.
Twisted Metal. Golden Axe is
Twisted
technically
Metal story mode.
Is that co-op? Can you co-op?
Yeah.
Story
Twisted
mode?
Metal 4 at the very least. I'm pretty sure Twisted Metal Black as well. The story modes are co-op.
I only had the online version of Twisted Metal Black because I had the network adapter. They gave it to you for free.
You're killing me jealous.
Pretty dope.
I didn't try online gaming until the PS3 and Wii. There was this terrible Wii game that we have to try to find and play that was like a shooter, and I never played the second one, but in the second, it's like aliens attack and you have to like defend the president. But in the second one, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln come out of a spaceship in like mech suits. We gotta try to find this game. I don't remember what it's called, but we'll figure it out.
Is it 13?
It's a Wii game.
It's either 13 or like Mad World or something along those lines. Is it
it's not that.
black and white?
Nope.
There's only like 2 shooters that came out for the Wii.
Conduit. The Conduit.
All right.
It's made by Sega.
Sounds about right. I think Sega's like the OG wacky video game company. Like Kojima now exists, but Sega really carried that torch for a while.
All right, move the boys. Let's get to number 1.
I'm ready.
Number 1.
My number 1 is Borderlands.
Yeah.
I do have to do a shout out though to Manny Fett, who said that the after we went Ssx downhill, said you could say the series went downhill, which is a good pun we should have thought to make it, to be honest. But my number
agree
one
and disagree on that, but
my number 1 co-op game is the original Borderlands. I don't know that I played this the most of any of the games on this list, but I know that it is by far my favorite of any of the games on this list. And if you were to ask me which one I would go back and play right now if asked, it would be the original Borderlands. I still think I like the original Borderlands better than 2 and 3. I like the simplicity of the first game in comparison to the second and third one. The second and third one got like raid bosses and a bunch of other stuff that was like kind of hard to do. Cromrax in the first one is also very hard. He's kind of raid boss, but he's the only one in the game. And you could play the whole game by yourself, which I know is not the purpose of this, versus the second and third one were very hard to play a lot of the content by yourself. And so I was playing by myself a lot. Made me sad on the PS3. But regardless, the original Borderlands is another one of those games that my buddy who had Modern Warfare had on his Xbox 360. And we would all go to his house and play co-op, and we all had like 2 or 3 characters each on his Xbox and would play this game for just like hours and hours. And this guy is a saint because he must have played through the original Borderlands a dozen times because he played it with all of us because none of us had systems that we could play it on. I played Roland because the turret was just super nice in that game, even though he's, I think, the weakest of the 4 characters towards the end of the game, if you're going to be completely honest, with Lilith being the strongest by far, and then Mordecai and Brick somewhere in the middle there. But I love the whole Borderlands series. I like the original Borderlands so much that I pre-ordered Borderlands 2 and got like the special edition, and was really mad because I ordered the special super edition of Borderlands 2 and saved up for it for like a long time, shoveling snow and doing some stuff like that. And then I got there to GameStop to get it, and they didn't order any of the super special edition of Borderlands 2 for PlayStation 3. They only ordered them for Xbox.
Oh, wow.
And so I just got like the $80 version that came with like stickers and an art book instead of the $120 version that came with like a little loot chest. And if I still had that little loot chest, I would keep it with me to this day. I actually have the Marcus bobblehead, but it's out on my bookcase that came with the $80 version, though.
Yeah.
So.
So I know I've mentioned this before, not on this show or anything, but like to you that I wanted to do a show where we debate things, but we would have to find a third party to like be the moderator. The fact that you just said live on the internet into a microphone that you know is being recorded that Borderlands 1 is better than Borderlands 2. Like,
I like it
I'm
better.
ready to physically fight you over this. Borderlands 2 is the perfect video game almost. But anyway, Borderlands almost made my list. It did not make my list. It's not my number one. Largely because of what, as you've mentioned, I played a lot of Borderlands. I played a lot of Borderlands alone. I just didn't know anybody who had it. It's a great game. I couldn't finish Borderlands 1. I didn't like it. I didn't get the hype. And then I thought Borderlands 2 was amazing. But I don't know. That's just me. But no, they're solid games. I feel like we both own Borderlands 3 and I've never played it together, which, considering our appreciation of this franchise, is weird. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. I still haven't played any of the DLC. I have like all the DLC for it. I just haven't played any of it. I played the original. I played the single player mode all the way through with Tannen and have never gone back and played the DLC.
Well, I'm down to like I would have to do some research. I need to rebuild my guy. I picked Zane and like he like isn't viable in that game by himself. But they've like recently like obviously a bunch of balance patches have gone down and he's a bit more usable. But like Borderlands 2 has Krieg. Krieg is the best Borderlands character ever. You're just a guy like you want to learn about guns? No, I want to punch things. I go, great, we have the perfect thing for you. You just get a big axe and smash shit. And when you're about to die, you get to like push a button and then you get all of your health back and you get to smash stuff even harder.
If you want to play Borderlands 3, we can get Tannen on, because if you play Zane, Tannen plays Mose and I play Amara. So
it'd be a good time. Have you played the Tiny Tina's what the Dungeons and Dragons ripoff that Borderlands 2 did?
Yeah, Bunkers Badasses, which they are releasing as a tabletop role playing game if they haven't already. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw they licensed a bunch of stuff for tabletop games like 2 or 3 years ago. So we're gonna get the Avatar treatment out of Borderlands. I guarantee it. They're gonna drop like 10 board games out of nowhere. But I begrudgingly accept your number one.
I appreciate your begrudgingness.
If anything, it's gonna spawn more content because now I really want to do this debate show. My number one. Speaking of sequels, Mario Kart, Mario Party. Specifically Mario Kart 64 and Mario Party 2. Mario Party 1, nothing wrong with it, except when you got to spin the thing with your hand. I used to keep a bowl of ice. Because you'd have to. Because like when you're a kid,
put it in your palm and
yeah, it burns your palm. I had like blisters on my hand, so I'd like dunk it in ice.
They made like stick condoms that you would put on the N64 controller for that exact reasoning.
They made gloves. You could get like a pair of Nintendo gloves sent to you as part of like a class action lawsuit. I thought it was a joke because I had a Nintendo Power subscription. And they were like, because people are like hurting their like burning their palms doing this, like you can call this thing and give us your address. And I was like ha ha ha, like what a funny bit. That's real. Like that was an actual thing. And I'm upset I didn't like capitalize on it because like I would have had one of the Mario Party, like I'm sure it's an officially licensed weird glove. You know what I mean? Like you might find one on eBay for $50, you know? It's a weird piece of memorabilia. But yeah, I mean, these games explain themselves. Like, even if you're not of a certain age, you probably still play Mario Kart 64. You probably don't get it because you've played, admittedly, better Mario Karts at this point. It's just the OG. And Mario Party 2 is amazing. I really think that, like Mario Party 1 is good. Mario Party 2 takes everything Mario Party 1 did and, like, just makes it so much better. And, like, honestly, they don't get better for a long time. Like, there's a lot of bad Mario Party games. The most recent one for the Switch is pretty good. I think making stars cheaper was an interesting choice. It just means everybody gets 1 million stars, but I think that makes it more competitive. You own an N64, but have never played Mario Kart 64. Why do you own an N64? What purpose is there to own an N64 if not to play Mario Kart?
I think I have like 2 or 3 copies of Mario Kart 64, man.
Yeah,
What?
Mario Kart went like the opposite direction of like Super Mario, where like Mario 64 is still $60, and like Mario Kart is just like there's one under your couch. Like if you're listening to this, go to your couch, look under it. There's gonna be like a couple of quarters. And there's gonna be a copy of Mario Kart 64. I guarantee it. Like I just feel like everybody owns a copy of this game in like varying degrees, like condition wise, but still there. But yeah, these two are obvious, but also that's why they're number one. And if they weren't here, people would be like, where the hell's Mario Party? And it's like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, no, solid games. Mario Kart 64 is great, though. Yeah. Well, I have a ton of N64 games, by the way. That's what we need to do. I need to figure out a way to put my N64 up and stream that because I have 2 boxes full of N64 games I've gotten over the years.
Yeah, I'm done.
It does have Glover, which is not a very good game. I also have Glover. I think I have 2 copies of Glover.
Yeah, Glover's maybe. The problem with doing like the worst games on Nintendo 64 is that you have to have played them. Like
No, I am wrong. Glover has a 98% appreciation rate.
oh, is Glover good?
Evidently, it is. I remember playing it and not particularly liking it, but I remember thinking the glove main character was hilarious looking.
I mean, it's literally a glove that runs around and does people stuff.
Like smacks balls and stuff, yeah.
But yeah, that's my number one.
Well, this has been 5 Things. Thank you for watching.
It has.